If you are struggling to get the score that you want for writing task 1, then this video might just be for you. Welcome back to the channel. If you are new here, my name is Brick and I am a qualified English teacher based in the UK. And in this video, we will look at some of the best ways to help you improve your IELTS Writing Task 1 score. So let's get started. Now, before we even look at the tips, it is important to understand the format of the IELTS writing test, what writing task 1 actually looks like, and most importantly, how the examiner will mark your writing task 1 answer. So let's start with the format of the IELTS writing test. So the writing section of the IELTS exam lasts for 60 minutes. And in those 60 minutes, you will be expected to complete 2 tasks, writing task 1 and writing task 2. Now, you should spend 40 minutes on writing task 2, and that is because it is worth 2/3 of your mark. And for writing task 1, you should spend around 20 minutes, and writing task 1 is worth 1/3 of your overall marks for the writing task. The next thing you need to know is that there are 2 versions of the writing test. We have the academic writing test and we have the general writing test. There's not much difference between the 2 types of tests, but the main difference is the type of language that is required when answering these questions. So, for example, for the academic writing test, you will be expected to write in a formal way, whereas for the general test, depending on what the question looks like, you might have to write in a semi-formal way. But we will talk about that in a different video. Now, let's look at what does writing task 1 actually look like. Now, in academic writing task 1, you will be presented with an image of one of the following: either a bar chart, a line graph, a table, a pie chart, or a diagram. The writing task 1 question is a little bit different for the general test. So for the general test, you'll be required to write a letter requesting information or explaining a situation relating to a specific circumstance. So again, let's look at some examples to see what this question actually looks like. Now, if the question asks you to write a letter to somebody who you do not know, for example, a university, then you should write in a formal manner. And if the question asks you to write a letter to somebody that you are close to, for example, a friend or a family member, then you should write in an informal way. So let's break this down a little bit further. So on the screen, you can see 2 different examples of writing. So the image on the left is an example of formal writing, and the image on the right is an example of informal writing. So you can see here that the image on the left is something that you would send to someone who you do not know, whereas the image on the right looks more like a WhatsApp message that you might send to a friend or a family member. And that's the difference between informal writing and formal writing. So what is the examiner actually looking for when they are marking your writing? Well, the first thing that we need to know is that both writing task 1 and writing task 2, they are both marked separately. So I will talk about how writing task 2 is marked in a separate video, so we can just focus on how writing task 1 is marked in this video, just so there's no confusion. So the examiner will mark your writing according to the following 4 criteria. First, we have task achievement, and this is basically how well you responded to the task. Then we have coherence and cohesion, and this is more to do with how well you structure your writing. Is it all over the place, or is everything in order? And did you use paragraphs, and did you use them correctly? Now, the third thing that the examiner will look at is called lexical resource. And this is basically to see if you have used the appropriate vocabulary. And the final thing that the examiner will look at when marking your writing is grammatical range and accuracy. And this is just to check if you have used the correct grammar and if you have used it in the correct place. Now, the examiner will usually have a sheet in front of them, just like the one that shows on your screen, and they will use either this or something very similar to this when marking your writing. Now, each one of the 4 sections is worth 25% each, and they are all marked individually. So for example, you might get a band 6 for task achievement, a band 7 for coherence and cohesion, a band 8 for lexical resource, and a band 9 for grammatical range and accuracy. Then your final mark for writing task 1 will be the average of all 4 scores. So in this case, your average score will be a band 7.5, which actually shows you that you can get half bands as your final score. So for example, you can get a 5.5, a 6.5, and a 7.5. Now, I will leave a link to the marking criteria in the description below. And if you benefited from this video, please hit that like button so YouTube can share this video with more people who want to learn about the IELTS exam. And I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.